Hello everyone. Hello and welcome to another UK sim reviews. Today, what we're doing? Well, we're going to be looking at the West Coast Main Line Trent Valley add-on for Train Simulator. I'm going to try something a little bit different today. So rather than the usual sort of and I don't want to call it animated, trains passing by, let's call it that, that you normally see in the background. What I'm going to do is I'm doing a sweep over of the actual line so you can see it kind of hopefully end to end, and it'll just give you an idea for the things that I'm talking about. If you like it or don't like it or want me to go back to the way that I did things before, that's fine. It's new, but it just seemed like a good idea. So that you guys can actually see everything that I'm talking to rather than just watching trains going by actually on the line. So yeah, what is it? So it's a route that goes from Rugby in the south all the way up to Stafford in the north. The route's made by Thomson Interactive, and with that route you also get a Class 66 in DRS livery, and you also get a Class 350 EMU. The line, I sort of said, goes from Rugby. It actually doesn't. This is kind of see the flyby at the moment. It actually goes from a container port, terminal, whatever you want to call it, just south of Rugby, which obviously for people into freight, that's great. And it goes all the way up to actually Stafford and probably just a little bit past Stafford, but it's just a portal. So yeah, what's good, what's bad, what's indifferent, and is it good? Is it worth the money? So let's start with what's good. What's good about it is the level of detail. So you can see by the flyby, sort of trackside, this route, there is a real good feel for it. So I think some of the routes feel a bit copy and pasty, if you know what I mean. It's repetitive. The houses all look the same and all that kind of stuff. Where I think Thomson Interactive actually made a really, really good effort to give you a feel for kind of what's going on, to make it not just feel generic. It actually does feel like a train line and not just kind of somebody emulating a train line, if you know what I mean. There's sort of one of the shots, there's like a supermarket next to the train line that they've modelled. There's a power station in there. There's lots of not generic trackside objects, so it feels really, really good and it looks really, really good as well. So to Thomson Interactive, I think they've done a stellar job in making it feel like a train line. It's it doesn't feel generic. It feels unique to kind of driving the route from Stafford to Rugby. I mean, you can see there's like industrial units and all that kind of stuff, and I think it makes a difference. And actually, the routes over the last sort of 2 years have got better and better in terms of trackside detail. The older routes, when you zoomed out, did feel a bit sort of just copy and paste, where these are now feeling really, really good, and unique and specific to the area that they're in. So yeah, it looks really, really good. Like I say, in terms of loco wise, what do you get? Well, you get a Class 66 DRS. That's an interesting one because obviously, I'm going to say Dovetail Games have been robbing us blind with the Class 66 recently. Trying to charge you £12 for AWS one and then reskinning it into whatever it was, Freightliner, and charging you £12 for a reskin, and then they've done a Powerhaul one which is pretty much the same as the Freightliner one and charging you another £12. So you've actually got obviously the Class 66 loco, which would normally cost you £12, in a DRS livery as part of this pack. And you've got the Class 350, which I think is brand new as well. And that Class 350 is modelled really, really nicely. The cab's really interactive. You get sort of audio destination stuff going on when you pass at waypoints as part of the scenarios, and that feels and looks really, really good as well. As part of scenarios, I mentioned that there are 10 scenarios that come with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the 350, and obviously 5 in the 66. It's the usual sort of Dovetail Games train simulator scenario pack, where you only see the locos that are included, which obviously takes away from that reality element. Obviously, when people like Armstrong Powerhouse, or in fact, I actually found another website called DP Simulations, and they've actually got 2 scenario packs which are free. You just have to send a contribution. You don't have to, but it'd be nice if you did. With a lot of scenarios for this route, and obviously they've approached it the same way as Armstrong Powerhouse, with its accurate timetables and accurate stock in terms of train consists and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you add that, it makes a huge difference. It gives you that extra level of feel for the route. What else? Well, I've mentioned all the kind of good things about this, but there's a lot of negatives, and it's not the level of detail in the route, and it's not, you've got full track main line here. There is a container port in the south I've mentioned. If you're into freight, there is a power station if you're into freight. But it's a bit of a bit route, and it is point to point. You only go from Stafford to Rugby. There's no kind of nice sort of lines off to somewhere else that you can use. So it is a point to point route, which obviously interferes with the variety piece a little bit. But the other frustrating thing is it's if you look at how the West Coast Main Line operates, and if you can't tell from the accent, I'm near Manchester. A lot of the trains I get, leave Manchester when I'm going to London and call it Stockport, and then they either go via Macclesfield and Stoke, and then don't stop again until you get to London. Occasionally they stop at Milton Keynes, or they go the other way via Wilmslow, Crewe, Stafford, and then again don't stop while London. So the problem with the route is that if you're operating, and you're obviously going to want to operate the Pendolinos, that I'm not sure that any of them actually stop at any of the stations on this route, which is a bit like, it's obviously a stopping service that is going to use these 350s and potentially other stuff, but it's not, you can't use it to its full potential. This is just at the moment in the background. I think it's where the route splits, and like I say, some of it goes up towards Stoke, and that way, and the other route here goes off towards Stafford. So yeah, if you want it accurate, you're going to see Pendolinos on here, but technically you can never drive them because you can't stop at Rugby. What else that's bad about it? So, like I said, it's not the quality of the detail in what people's put into the route. It's the kind of route they've picked. The other bit is the Voyager services. I think the Voyagers. They call in at Stafford, but then follow the line down to Wolverhampton and then call in at Birmingham. So you can't really drive them. So it's one of them. The other annoying thing is the power station. You think, there's a power station. Drive coal services. If you look at the way that the lines are pointing out of the power station, coal trains do not go on this route. They go off towards the portal, And the only way to actually use the power station is to do a weird reversing manoeuvre. And I've got a video of that coming up very, very shortly, so you can see it. And actually doing the digging, these coal trains go down to Bristol, the old down to Avonmouth. So if you've got that Bristol to Avonmouth add-on by Just Trains, you can obviously do the start of it and potentially do the end of it, but you can't start anywhere on the route. You've got to start where the portal is and drive 100 yards and go into the power station. So you can't make use of the stuff that's on the line. And it's, the level of detail that Thomson Interactive have put into this, I can't fault them. It looks amazing. It feels amazing. But the section of line itself is a bit, I don't want to say pointless, because I'm a completionist and I would love to get to the point where I can drive a Pendolino from Manchester all the way down to Euston, or Glasgow down to Euston. That's why I've got Overshap and I've got West Coast Main Line North. I absolutely want to see that. But for me, the section is weird. It would have been better if they'd have picked a different bit. We've got from Glasgow to Carlisle to Preston. It'd have been better if they'd have done Preston to Stafford, because that way you've got Crewe. You could have had a line off down to Liverpool. Potentially you got Preston to Manchester and then Manchester down to Stafford as well. That would have made more sense. Or even not that far, just go to Crewe and then do Crewe down to. Well, you can't even do Rugby, but it's just how this section of line is, which makes it, that sort of longevity and variety bit that I talk about. Well, you're only ever going to do kind of stopping services if you're looking for authenticity. The freight working is, you could do the container terminal to Stafford, to Stafford, and that's fine. But the other bits, you can never really drive the express services. Technically, you could make up some garbage, and I know people have. But it's a bit of a weird section of line. I don't know about this. I think it's one of them. For me as a completionist, I purchased it, and it looks great, and it plays great, and when you get these third-party scenario packs on, it's even better. But if I'd have known now what I know about the pack, would I have purchased it? And if I wasn't a completionist, the answer is no. And like I say, I don't want to take away from Thomson Interactive, because the stuff they do is normally the best out of the stuff that you get out of the Steam store, is the stuff that they make, because they have got that attention to detail. But it's just a bad section of line to pick. I think they could have picked better sections to give people a lot more variety. In terms of price of this pack, there is an Easter sale going on at the moment where they've got sort of 60-70% on, but I think this is actually excluded at the moment. I know when I purchased it, it was on offer. I paid £15 for it, and actually paying £15 for it, for what you get Class 350, which if they'd have sold it separately would have been £12. If you've not got any of the Class 66s, that would have been another £12. So actually, paying £24, you're getting two locals. If you look at it that point of view, it's pretty good. Because full price it's £24.99 or £25. I purchased it in a sale. I got it for whatever it was, £15, something like that, and it's all right paying £15, but I wouldn't keep coming back to this route. It's a hard route to love and use, because of the oddities in it, in the fact that you can't really use the power station, you can't really use express services. You're stuck at using stopping stuff, and it's a bit of a shame. It really is a bit of a shame. They could have done a different section, and it would have been more interesting, have more variety, and better value for money. So on that note, as usual, I hope this review was useful and informative to you. If it was, please like, please subscribe. The more you like, the more you subscribe, the more content we can do. And as usual, thank you very, very much again for watching. And I will see you hopefully in a week's time for another line review. And I also intend to have some local reviews coming up very, very shortly as well. So take care and see you again.